people out there that have heard about tight end Cam McCormick, we're going to chop up his situation here on the show. He is going and actually has achieved a 9th year, a record year of eligibility. He was tied previously before with another player for 8 years. I know y'all are going to rip me in the comments for not knowing that gentleman's name, but tight end Cam McCormick has now had a record 9 seasons of eligibility. 2016, he was a redshirt. 2017, he was a redshirt freshman. 18 and 19, he had a season-ending injury, missed the season. Of course, 2020 was the COVID year. Season-ending injury again in 2021. In 2022, he was in his official senior year. And then 23 and 24, he petitioned and got that extra year of eligibility. Alan, what are your thoughts, man, on a guy that's 25 years old, born in 1998, so realistically younger than us, but not by too much, still playing in college football? How do you feel about a 9-year guy in the NCAA right now?
Man, I tell you this, if it hasn't happened yet, and regardless of injury and COVID year, I just don't know if it's going to happen for you, brother, because listen, by now you should have been, in the pros by now.
Right.
CFL, XFL, something, or
Right.
pursuing whatever you got your degree in, like a real profession outside of football, with all these injuries,
Right.
and the year obviously stayed from that. I feel like they're really out now because, COVID year moving forward, I think 6 years is reasonable. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just don't see you needing any more years to prove yourself to get into the NFL. Especially
Right.
if you're playing at a big name school like Cam McCormick did. He played at Miami as well as now as Oregon. He's getting his 9th year of eligibility there, in which Dan Lanning is an awesome coach and he's going to develop him. And who knows, he may get in the NFL. And I hope for his sake he does.
Right.
Him being a Miami player formerly or not, FSU bias doesn't really get in the way there too much.
Yeah. So you say, right?
So
No,
I
I'm
say,
kidding. I think it's the flip side. So I think he's coming from Oregon over into petitioning the 9th year with Miami. I believe that's what I
yeah,
saw there. But
yeah,
either way,
that's
you
right.
are correct. He is having the 9 years of eligibility. And I agree with you there, right? I'm going to double down on that point. If it takes you 9 years to get through the college football landscape. And before I even get into this, Alan, you know me, anybody that watches the show and knows me, you don't give up on your dreams, right? I've been podcasting for almost 5 years and I'm
No, no, no.
just now about to start making money off of it because I'm taking it seriously. So you don't give up on chasing what you want, right? But if you're
Right.
having 3 seasons being ended by injury, of course, the COVID year, I'm going to give you slack for that. And then, you're going to go get your
Absolutely.
extra 2 years of eligibility. I believe everyone could get one extra and then maybe one, for your season ending injury. But if you're having to spend 9 years in college, that might be an indicator of it might not be the biggest thing cut out for you. And I'll also in the same breath say that I hope Cam McCormick gets drafted into the NFL and he can go on and make those millions of dollars and have that life-changing wealth and be able to change more lives around him. But you look at his numbers, right? In his total of 9 years thus far in college, going for his 9th year, he just now played all 13 games in his 8th year before petitioning for the 9th year. He's got a total of 20 catches for 197 yards and 4 touchdowns in his 8 years played in college football. And most of that came last year when he played
Mm-hmm.
those 13 games with Oregon. There was
Yep.
10 catches for 66 yards and 3 touchdowns. So the most of his work came in a year where he was granted that year of eligibility and he also was healthy and able to play all of those 13 games. But I'm right there with you, on there being a cap on how many seasons of eligibility you should really have. I think personally no more than 6, and that's pushing it because I believe if you have a season ending injury, you should get another shot. But if you have a second season ending injury, whether you took the right timeline or recovered right or not, if that's what happens when you go back out there, we can't continue to break and bend the rules for these guys that want to come in and have 7, 8, 9 years of eligibility. Again, don't give up on anything. Don't, let anything perturb you from getting to that NFL level because it's the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, right? But again, if it's taken you 9 years And I understand he redshirted twice, but
Yeah.
9 years of eligibility, you just got to be realistic with some certain points at the end of the day. Like, am I really healthy enough to carry out this sport? Are
Correct.
NFL scouts really going to have some sort of interest in me if I've had 3 season-ending injuries? For
Yeah.
people who might not personally know my story, I played a little bit of football, in grade school, and then later on in high school, I ran track for a few years, but I couldn't stay healthy. So I quit being an athlete, joined the workforce, knew that I still loved the game, which is why I have the show today. But the best ability is availability. And if guys like Cam McCormick or even other guys that are getting these extra years or pushing kicking the can down the road for their college football exit, you might just have to take a look in the mirror and ultimately maybe change how some of these eligibility years are actually rolled out. But I'm right there with you, man. I think no more than 6 years, and that's pushing it because recruiting classes come in. There's only
Hmm.
so many guys that can sign with so many teams. And I kind of mentioned it in the last episode about Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban. When you turn over a college roster, every basically 3 years, maybe 2 years now with the transfer portal, that's going to take a lot more grit than when you have a Patrick Mahomes and a Travis Kelce and a Tyreek Hill tied up for, maybe 6, 7, 8 years on a deal. But let's get into a nitty gritty part of the show real quick. Do you have any last statements on the eligibility before we roll into this godforsaken CFP committee?
One thing I wanted to hit on was what you said about the NFL looking into something like that. 9 years in the NCAA, that's a long time. That's almost a decade. And they're definitely looking at, injuries. That's NFL scouts are for sure looking at that. And
Hmm.
the likelihood of you being signed to a roster with that many injuries is very
Right.
slim. You might get on the practice squad, and who knows, if you show some tenacity and some grit in the off season, you may make the squad.
Of course.
But like I said, nothing but love and prayers for Cam McCormick. I hope his career pays off great. I hope he gets drafted. Everything.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm right there with you. I don't want a guy that's pushing for generational money, a life that many, many, many people push for, even that try to go to the NFL or college sports and don't get to live, let alone, in the entirety of the world, dude. I couldn't agree more with you. Taylor, thank you for commenting on the show. Ryan, I
Hey
right
Taylor.
there agree with you. No one should play in college for 9 years. That's just absolutely astronomical. I mean, I remember that coming across on the Bleacher Report for a notification on
Oh
my phone. It was,
man.
it was, a few months back, and as the story has resurfaced time and time again, and I'm just like, how do you get 9 years of eligibility?